Hello for the first Sunday in Lent. Um, using only the Gospel, Matthew 4, 1 to 11. Jesus and the Tempter, the devil. Oh, Jesus goes out in the desert and stays in the desert by himself for 40 days, 40 nights. And in the midst of all of that, he's tempted. And he's tempted by the devil. Well, what is temptation? The temptation is not to do the right thing and to do the wrong thing. Well, what about the devil? Tempts Jesus. Who is the devil? And what is sin? Well, let's talk about the devil, Jesus, sin, and the right way. The devil, as far as sin, first of all, sin is a big, big negative. It's not doing the right thing. It's saying no to the right way and how to live properly. So sin that's what we wind up doing and finding ourselves in. Why? Well, we can't go into all that. We just know that the world is loaded with sin. Well, it's loaded with good too, but it's loaded also with the non-good, the negative. It's when I say no to living properly. So it's a big negative. And that's exactly what the devil is. You know, the devil represents everything that is against God. It's not doing it God's way. And so the devil really is a big negative. Don't live the way you were created. I think that's really good. I mean, in fact, I always keep on going back to my old Thomas Aquinas in the 13th century. It says, what's sin? Well, you decide sin is a disruption of a proper relationship. So anything I do that is really not good for me or is not good for everybody else is a negative of what I should be doing for everybody else and what I should be doing for myself. And a sin and the devil is absolutely the negative of not doing it God's way. Well, Jesus, and Matthew tells us this story. How did Matthew know this story? Did he make it up? Somehow Jesus must have told Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and so forth, these stories, and Jesus made them up, or Jesus told them of his experience. And I don't know exactly, was this a historical reality that you read just in the gospel or listened to just in the gospel? And that's exactly how it happened? I think Jesus told it his way. Matthew received it with his ears and he wrote what he remembered and what it was all about. And I think that's the story. Jesus goes out into the desert and is tempted by the devil. The first temptation is command that these stones be changed into bread. And so he's tempted to just do it all the way that he wants and only be worried about bread. He's out in the desert. And Jesus then comes and tells his apostles, which Matthew tells us, not by bread alone does a man or a woman live. Really, yes. Lives because God created us and wants us to live the way he made us. So Jesus is saying in the story and talking to these apostles or telling them, one does not live on bread alone, and we live on maybe another bread, the bread of Jesus Christ. Yeah. So he's not going to do it the devil's way, the wrong way, the negative way. And then the tempter takes it and says, look, if you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, and the angels will lift you up, and you will not dash your little toes or head on the concrete. And he's tempted him to go into all these wild things. It's sort of interesting if you could do it. And so Jesus is not going to do that. That's not the reason why I came to do this type of stuff. Throw yourself down for a show. And then there's the third temptation. And this is the clincher. The devil says to Jesus, the story that Jesus told to the apostles, the devil says to Jesus, I'll give you all these kingdoms of the world if you just fall down and adore me. Make me God and not your heavenly Father. Make me be interested or not interested in why I come. And that's what the devil is trying to get him to not do why he came. And fall down and adore me, which is the absolute nothing. The devil is sin, is the absolute nothing. It's the absence of God, and fall down and adore nothing. Really? Yes, really. So any proper relationship, and if it's a proper relationship, it is the way God made us. And how did he make us? He made us good, not evil like the devil. The devil was a big negative. He made us in his own image and likeness. So Jesus all along is saying, Father sent me. I'm the Father's son. I'm like my Father, and I live and I love my Father, and I want you to love me and my Father in the Spirit also. So that it's the proper relationship. That's why St. Thomas Aquinas says that sin is a disruption of a proper relationship. I think it's sort of interesting when we examine our conscience. A lot of people want a big long list of sins, and you get them, to go to confession. How about just sit back and say, where is the improper relationships in my life? When we say to Jesus Christ, I'm sorry for my sins and so forth, why not you say, what are the improper relationships in my life? You know them. You settle down and think. You'll know that you were really hard on this person, that you cursed this other person, that you sort of took what didn't belong to you, or you didn't obey your parents, or you weren't good to your kids. I mean, disruption of a proper relationship. That's what it's all about. So it's you can take the story of 40 days and 40 nights in the desert, but just think, first of all, what do you think? How did he tell the apostles, his preachers and teachers and key people, of what happened in that desert? Mark, Matthew, Luke, they write all these things down, what they remember, what it's all about. It's unimportant to getting the historicity of it all. But what is important is this world is filled with disruptions of proper relationships. How should Russia act? How should Iran be? How should our country live? All these things are all relationships. And it goes from on high and on high authorities. And how does the church teach you how to live? And it goes from on high and all the way down to little old me. Lent is a time, 40 days, 40 nights, when I try to be a little bit more introspective and think about pray about, do about proper relationships. We know Jesus never looked back and did the will of the negative guy, the devil. Oh, I think we have personified Lucifer, Beelzebub. We give them all names, and they just run around just doing. Jesus experienced not doing his job, not doing the will of the Father. And the will of the Father is what it's all about. And if you don't do the will of the Father, you're in an improper relationship. St. Thomas Aquinas was pretty doggone smart. Pretty, pretty darn smart, wasn't he? Have a good day.